So now in practice action number 4, this is where we're going to practice our roadmap. So we're going to start by doing the roadmap that I already wrote out, but then towards the end of this practice action, I'm going to talk to you about how you can create your own roadmap. All right, so let's start with the roadmap that I gave to you. So we start with that A minor 7th with the 3rd in the right hand. Then we go to the 3rd of the D7 while playing the root 3 chord shell in the left hand. Then we go to the 3rd of the G major, and then we go to the 3rd of the C. Okay? Then we're going to what note here? I asked you to figure out that note. This is the 3rd, right? And then we go up to the what? What is this on B? It should be pretty obvious. That's the roots. And then we go down to what? On the E. That's the roots. Okay? So let's just start by practicing that. And what we're going to do is we're going to put on our iReal Pro track. We're going to play that along with the iReal Pro track, right? So shell in the left hand, just simple one-note boulder in the right hand. Here we go. There's nothing in this last measure. And you can also add some rhythm. Okay, all right, so those are the big boulders for this practice action. So remember, we're just playing the shells and we're playing a chord tone in the right hand. That chord tone could be any of those chord tones, right? So I could have played the root, the 3rd, the 5th, or the 7th of any of those chords as my boulder. And just as a quick reminder, the boulder, these are like, you can think of it like a waypoint, right? You know, when flying, right? Pilots will fly to this point, then to that point, then to that point. Or if you're thinking about driving, you go here and then take a right at that light, take a left over at that light, you know, that boulder, whatever, right? So these give you these big blocks, right? So you know where you're heading in your improvisation. Just helps you to structure your improvisation a little bit more. Do you need to do this all of the time? Absolutely not. You'll actually start to do this in your head naturally, and you'll start to hear this. But when you're first getting started in improvisation, it helps to kind of write these out and just kind of map out your improvisation. All right, so now, how do you create your own? I'm going to also provide you with a blank 8 measures where you could write in your own boulders there, right? You get to decide what you're going to do. All right, so before we did the 3rd, down to the 3rd of D, to the 3rd of G, to the 3rd of C, right? Well, what else could you do? You could go 3rd of A, maybe up to the root of D, then down to the root of G. You could try the 7th. Some of them are going to sound better than others. So that one, I'm not sure I really like that one. Right? Yeah, it doesn't sound as nice to my ears. All right, now what if I did something like this? A minor, then to D, and I keep the same note. I don't want to do that because then I'm going to have to bring my line, my improvisational line, back to that note. Okay? I'd rather have some shape to it. So if I go to the 3rd of A, right? 3rd of A minor, and then to maybe the 5th of D, 3rd of G, to the 5th of C. All right, that's a nice sounding line. What about that? 3rd of A, root of D, 3rd of G, 5th of C. And I could keep going on from there. You get to decide what it is that you do. Remember, you could play any of those notes from A minor, then any of those notes from D7, any of those notes from G major 7, any of the notes from C major, F sharp, B, and E minor. So you could pick any one of those notes to move to. Right? And there's no one right or wrong way of doing this. It's really just exploring. So try coming up with your own stuff. Don't worry if it doesn't sound good to your ears, then just change the notes. Try something different, right? You don't have to hit it 100% correct every single time. Remember, improvisation is meant to be dynamic, right? You want to be able to bob and weave with this stuff. You want to stay very dynamic, and you don't want to worry about going for 100%. You're looking for 80% mastery, all right? So anyway, have fun with this. I will see you in the next practice action.